In 1987, a girl named Brooke Amy Jones was born. Sadly, that little baby girl was born with an enzyme deficiency, which results in liver deterioration. At the age of 2 years old, finally Brooke Jones got a healthy liver so that she could survive. Everything was working out beautifully for the one sick child, until 2010, when her liver started to fail. In an ideal situation, Brooke would have been able to replace her failing liver at the first sign of problems, but due to a shortage of organs where Brooke lived, she had to wait until she was in dire need, near death, in order to receive the transplant. Unfortunately, waiting until you are knocking on death's door to receive the transplant makes the task of surviving the operation that much more difficult, because it is extremely strenuous on your already sick body. In 2012, the inevitable happened. Her liver had failed. Luckily, a miracle came, and she got another liver. But due to complications with her first liver transplant, her kidneys now began to fail. After her kidney failure, the situation only got worse for Brooke. She then contracted a fungal infection, which eventually spread to her new liver. According to the Drum Opinion, the website that covered Brooke's story, the 25-year-old woman took 107 unassisted breaths until she died in her mother's arms. The worst part of the story is that if there were more people who chose to be organ donors, then Brooke and many others like her would have received the vital organs they needed when they first started feeling sick, meaning they would have had a much greater chance of survival. Brooke's story, along with thousands of others that go unnoticed, perfectly portray the necessity for more people to become organ donors. The U.S. Department of Health and Human Services said there are currently 117,913 people waiting for their turn to have their life-saving transplant. 28,000 transplants occurred last year due to the wonderful people who already were signed up as organ donors. Those same donors also helped 1 million people receive cornea and other tissue transplants that help them recover from trauma, bone damage, spinal injuries, burns, hearing impairments, and vision losses. But as wonderful as that all is, there is still an urgent need for more donors, because 18 people die a day. And on top of that, every 10 minutes, someone is added to the ever-growing organ waiting list. These numbers may not mean anything to you, but what should mean something to you is that every number in those statistics is someone's loved one, a little girl's mom, a husband's wife, a parent's child. And the thing to remember is that this problem will not resolve itself, and people like Brooke will continue to die each day if we do not take action. Luckily, the solution to this problem isn't complicated at all. The solution is quite simple, actually. The answer being, mark donor on your driver's license and spread the word. Teach everyone you know about the need for more donors and put down any myths that are keeping people back from becoming a potential donor. This step is important because there are many myths floating around that are keeping potential donors away. For example, if I sign up to be a donor, the hospital staff won't work as hard to save my life. But according to the Mayo Clinic, if you go to a hospital for treatment, doctors focus on saving your life, not someone else's. Another myth that the Mayo Clinic debunked is the fear that someone won't be dead when their death certificate is signed. But in reality, donors go through many tests, many more than people who aren't donors go through, to determine that they are truly dead. Plus, those tests are at no charge to their families, which is another myth in itself. It is important to know that your family members don't have to pay anything for you to donate your organs. That another false belief that I even thought once was true is that people who donate can't have an open casket funeral. But actually, there are no visible signs of organ or tissue donations, because with bone donations, rods are inserted, and only thin layers of skin from your back are removed for skin donations. You should also know that there is no age where you're considered too old to donate, and you can also be a kidney donor when you are alive to not only family members, but also friends, and maybe even a stranger. Lastly, make sure to mention that there is a high success rate for the people who get their transplant in time. The U.S. Department of Health and Human Services released a percentage of recipients who were still living 5 years after their transplant. They found for lung recipients it's 54%, kidney recipients have a higher rate at 69%, liver recipients is at a high 73%, and for heart recipients it's at almost 75%. The success rates are great, but could possibly be even higher if there are more donors, such as yourself, who could be an even better match for the organ recipients. A survey conducted by the National Coalition on Donation found that 91% of respondents support donation, and yet only 29% have taken an action to indicate their wishes via their driver's license, living will, or by telling their family. But you know who was different? Trey was different. He was a young and giving man, and unfortunately, he was in a serious car accident a few days before Thanksgiving. He was hospitalized because of his injuries, and a few days later, on Thanksgiving Day, Trey passed away. Trey was a man of faith, and according to his sister Laura, who wrote Trey's story on the Colby Foundation website, said that he tried to live his life according to the Lord's commandment to love our neighbors as ourselves. Because of that, he had chosen to be an organ and tissue donor. A few months prior to his accident, Trey had renewed his driver's license and had marked donor on it. His girlfriend recalled him saying at the time, "I'll be with the big guy, give it all." Because of Trey's selfless act, 5 people had a second chance at life, including 2 single mothers in their 40s, a 56-year-old wife, a 36-year-old man, and a 62-year-old father who had been waiting for his opportunity to live healthily again for 2 years. His sister finished Trey's story by saying, "Because of his decision to be an organ donor, Trey's story became a resurrection story. Out of death and despair came new life, and our Thanksgiving became an Easter. Through our tears, we rejoice knowing that 5 other families would have gotten a call on Thanksgiving Day with news that their loved one would be receiving a life-giving organ. Now imagine if we were all as selfless as Trey. Our speech class alone could help save 70 people's lives. Think of how many people, if all of Martin Luther signed up as organ donors, would survive as well. We would help thousands, becoming one step closer to never again unnecessarily losing lives that could have been saved." Now, I know we're all around 17 and 18-year-olds old, and you're probably like, "Wait a minute, I don't have any plans on dying anytime soon." But my response to you is that you can still take some measures to prepare for your eventual donation. The first step is to sign up to be a donor on the Wisconsin Department of Health Services website, if you didn't mark it on your license already. To make it even easier, and not doom you to searching on the Wisconsin Department of Health Services website forever, you can go to Google, type in "sign up to be an organ donor in Wisconsin," and click the Wisconsin Donor Registry link, and then click "add my name to the Wisconsin Donor Registry." From there, enter your driver's license number and then your last name and hit submit. Once you do that, you are officially signed up to be a donor. The next step I encourage you to take is to do things that will help reduce your risk of acquiring a chronic disease that could lead to an end-stage organ failure or limit your chances to donate. First, go to the doctor and get an assessment of your health. While you are there, make sure to talk to your doctor about your weight, your blood pressure, cholesterol level, and your family's history of diseases. To keep those organs healthy, make sure to exercise daily, eat whole grains, and I don't want to sound like your mom, but make sure to eat your fruits and vegetables. Lastly, in order to ensure that you can donate your organs in the future, make sure to live a low-stress life, including getting enough rest, and make sure to never pick up the bad habits of smoking, using drugs, or drinking alcohol. If you take these steps of living a healthy lifestyle and signing up to be a donor, then you will not only be helping yourself, but also saving up to as many as 8 people's lives if you choose to donate those now healthy organs. Just to remind you why you should sign up to be a donor right now, I want to tell you again that there are over 100,000 people that are in need of your help, and those people will die without that help. And there really is no excuse if you are capable of donating not to donate, because not only will you be giving someone's loved one a second chance at life, but as Trey said, you'll be with the big guy. Why not give it all?